Well, because he's not here, we're just going to take him out. Ladies and gentlemen, it is another episode of Who Are These Guys? And I really don't know what episode we're on, but because he's not here, like I said, we're gonna take him out since he decided not to show up for the party, and that now he is. He showed up. He showed up a little bit late, so it looks like he just. Well, actually, he did just wake up about an hour ago.
Well, and here's what happened, right? And first of all, just
He
answer
looks
your
like a
questions.
freaking lizard.
And first of all, just just say no. It's episode 36.
Episode
So
36.
at least
There you go. At least somebody's keeping track.
So
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know with the amount of times that this guy bails on the show. I wouldn't know what episode we're on.
Yep. Well, we went into a little bit of an off season, and we made some game plan adjustments. We made some changes to the franchise, and now here we are.
Yeah.
So it's good to be back, and I can't remember what you even asked. I don't know. Something about me waking up. Yeah, I fell asleep for a couple hours.
Yeah, well, that sounds about right. I don't understand why you just can't set an alarm.
Well, I must have slept past it.
When's the last time you changed your bed sheets?
Actually, I bought some new ones last week. Actually.
All right. Well, they're still okay for now. I usually give them about a
Yeah.
couple weeks, and then it's time to swap.
Right. But it's good to be back. It's good to be back behind the sticks, behind the microphone, where
Behind
our
the stick.
opinions really don't matter. Our votes don't matter, and I know your vote matters, but it doesn't.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
And it's good to be back. It's good to be back. So, do you want to tell the audience how you've been? What's been going on? How long it took to wipe your ass today? Just the whole thing.
Well, I think I've did that twice today.
That sounds right.
Yeah. But anyway, I mean, really, what have we been up to? Pretty much, it's been honestly rinse repeat every day almost. Waiting for the new WWE game to come out. Still waiting for some more details on it. MLB The Show is looking very unlikely. From what I've read, not a single thing has changed with franchise mode. Go figure. That's about the last 6-7 years.
Yep.
Other than that, just working, and if Kelsey and I are doing anything, that's really about it. Trying to save money. Getting ready to sell the house in a few months.
Do we want to talk about how Kelsey had a foreign president bring her Taco Bell? Oh man, so Jason had Barack.
Yeah. Barack.
Yeah, Barack. Yeah. I mean, first of all, if you think that's an issue, the glaring issue is having Taco Bell 3 times in a week.
Well, yeah, that's why I said she could eat it every day. I don't know how she can. It's honestly concerning.
It really is, and having in the same week having Kathy's taco meat.
See, it's honestly usually fine. I think that's like the first time like it's ever actually like did something to us.
Right.
Like it was.
Well,
bad.
I mean,
I don't know.
And regardless, you guys are adults. So eating Taco Bell 3 times a week, and I'm sure you ate 3. I'm sure you ate 3 times a week as well.
I didn't get any. I didn't want any. I like it, but I'm not a son of a gun for it.
I'll have to follow up on her about that. But
she'll tell you I did not get any.
Well, and what's like your go-to order from Taco Bell?
What I do like, I like their chicken quesadilla. Sometimes it depends what I'm feeling. I do like their just regular soft tacos. I also like their Dorito tacos. If I don't want that, I'll get the beefy melt burrito. What's wrong with that? That's the order.
The beefy melt burrito.
I think that's what it's called. It's got like Fritos in it or whatever.
Yeah, it's Fritos. I mean, there's no way that lasts more than 1 business day inside your body.
Comes out very quick.
I bet.
We actually went to Moe's the other day, and because she's never had it, and I haven't had it since probably like
City
5
Walk.
years ago. It's City Walk, yeah. And so we went to it, just very underwhelming. Like just very underwhelming. Yeah. It's not that good. It's really not.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about the Canes that is opened up here. You know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah. I mean, like each time.
I wonder how the one out here is, because there's 2 open now.
Like I'm not gonna say it's bad, but
it's just
it doesn't.
Not what
it just it doesn't have the authentic feel, right?
Yeah.
That it would have over in Arizona.
The ones out here are probably ass.
And I mean they're probably worse than pickles.
Well, I'll let you know.
You
Whenever
know?
we make it to Canes, I'll let you know, because the one closer by me opened up the 13th, so it's been about a week.
Right. Right. Yeah, I mean, if I had to say my Taco Bell order, the Shin Quesadilla, that's a good choice, and it's a good choice. Obviously, it's,
It is good. I
Taco
do like
Bell's
I think their quesadilla is the best thing they got.
well, Taco Bell's been an L since they've got rid of the quesarito. I mean, let's just be
Never had
honest. Yeah, okay, well,
quesarito.
then, again, and then yeah. And would you like to say who's making it?
We'll leave that for the stream.
Yeah, alright, well, yeah, we'll move on. Alright. Mythical Jazzy right below, guys.
Right below,
Alright,
ladies and gentlemen.
yeah, right below. And, if you're a little sensitive, then maybe, don't hop in.
Stream's
Yep.
not for you guys when I'm on there.
Yep, yeah, because N says some things that I can't repeat on here, so
Well, we have
and you
clips
should
of
be
Z as well saying it, so it's on his Twitch history. You guys can go check it out.
yeah.
Never forget
Well,
to mention
anyways, we're
slavery.
yeah, there it is. There it is, yeah.
That's exactly why I told what's her face at Volcano Bay that you were a completely different person outside of here.
Yep, yep. I have no comment to that. I'm not even gonna proceed on that comment.
Yeah, you have no idea what this guy's like out of here.
Yeah, you're right. I will say, we're just moving on from that one. All right. I can promise you guys Ennis said 10 times worse. All right, so let's move on. All
Yeah,
right.
no,
So today is February 21st.
thank
Just so you
God.
know, and
I'm
just
honestly really glad we're almost through February.
yeah. Again, N says this every single month, and at some point, N's gonna be in his 50s, and we're gonna be we're gonna be counting down his
I'll
life.
pretty much say I'm glad I got about 20 years left.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I might not even
So
make it to 50.
we're here we are, February 21st, and are back. Um, now the Super Bowl was 2 weeks ago. Yeah, or
Yeah,
last. Yeah, like yeah, not this
2
past
weeks ago.
Sunday, but the Sunday before, where the Chiefs won. Uh, and I'll kind of and I are just gonna we're not gonna give any offseason predictions quite yet. Draft predictions, free agency predictions. We're not gonna give that yet, but we're just gonna kind of go over what we think. And we're not gonna go over what our teams should do yet. We're not gonna get into all that. I mean, we just ended the season.
Yeah.
It's other than the Steelers possibly
Well,
signing Ryan Tannehill to be the
yeah.
starter.
Oh God, we'll get into it. Um, and the sad thing is, there's people I've seen okay with that.
And I feel like I wouldn't hear from you for 2 weeks if they signed him.
Easy. I'd just be disgusted. I'm ready disgusted right now, and nothing's even started yet. I'm ready disgusted. We'll talk
Tannehill,
about it. We'll talk about it.
Tannehill and Kenny,
Oh my God, I mean, yeah, it's the worst quarterback in the league.
and it has to be.
Has to be.
So
It really, it has to be.
and
We'll talk
and
about
where do
crazy stuff about a week before it goes down.
right. Well, and where do you
We're getting close to it.
where do you want me to begin with this? Before we start recording here, you said you wanted me to
Yeah,
talk about my
yeah, yeah. Since
yeah.
since Z has bailed on this podcast the last 3 weeks or month or so since the AFC Championship game happened, I've wanted to kind of I've gotten a little bit of his thoughts, but he's never really fully detailed everything and really talked a whole lot about it. So I wanted him to take the floor here for 10, 15 minutes, give his thoughts about the Ravens losing the AFC Championship game. When I heard Super Bowl, when I heard Dynasty, when I
Yep,
heard
yep,
EDC, when I heard this is another MVP for Lamar in the worst MVP race in NFL history.
yep,
Again, just winning one playoff game, falling short. Hearing John should be coach of the year. Geno Stone gets a max deal. All this stuff that I've been hearing.
yeah,
I want I want to get Z's thoughts on just how everything has kind of felt and has sat with him this last month since with the Ravens losing the AFC Championship game. So Z, the floor is yours.
right. Well, again, nothing new there with N saying some just unnecessary comments that was never even told to him.
That's what I read.
Um, yeah, yeah. Well, again, Mo on Twitter doesn't matter. Malik on Twitter doesn't matter. Okay. Um, now let me just start off by saying, it's gonna sting until next season. It's gonna sting. And Chris Jones even said it after they won the Super Bowl. He said 2 weeks ago we beat the best team in the NFL. We beat the Ravens, and everybody knew the Ravens were the best team in the NFL as the latter part of the season progressed. as they beat the Texans in the second round of the playoffs. Everybody knew they were the best team, and I don't think there was any debate to it. Even when they got in the playoffs facing the Texans, some people picked the Texans for the upset. I never thought the Texans were going to beat them. After the Chiefs won against the Bills, I remember I kind of sent a message to Nate, and I was kind of like, "Oh boy, now we got to go against the Chiefs," because there's always that nervous feeling, right? I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to go by
Oh,
the
shit.
script, Taylor Swift. Yeah, I'm not really going to go by that. No,
Yeah.
I hate seeing people talk about that.
All right.
So, congratulations to Chiefs, congratulations to Travis, congratulations to Patrick, Kermit the Frog,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call him. I actually show my respect. They
Sure.
won they won the game fair and square in overtime, and yeah, congratulations, honestly. So, um, and quick thoughts on the shooting.
Yeah, the shooting. Well, see,
All right,
again, it just goes to show, honestly, I'll say right now, I don't think you need, Larry and Harry carrying around an AR.
absolutely not.
Yeah, I
But
don't.
you have some friends over there that want a gun right when they turn 18 years old. So
I mean, he's had him before then.
yeah,
So,
I mean we're just gonna very quickly move past that. It's an issue with America, but
I'm all for the amendments, but,
yep,
I think
yep,
sometimes there's a line.
yep, yep. Yeah, so we're very to quickly move past that. It's a conversation for another time. Just America's a joke. So we're gonna
Yeah,
move
very
past
much
that.
so. Yeah. Well, again, look who's running
Uh,
it.
yeah, yeah. It would it would
November's a huge month, Z, it's a huge month.
yeah, it's a huge month, and, we all can't wait for it. God. And are we gonna see another, Joe and Donnie debate?
Yes, we are.
Oh god. No, that's all I need to know. That's really,
Yeah, yeah, yes, we
truly all I
will.
need to
If
know. Alright.
not Joey, maybe geez, I don't know. It's gonna be some other lunatic over there.
Yep. Michelle? Michelle?
Yeah, Michael, possibly.
Yeah, yeah, Michael. Alright, so, anyways, get back on topic,
Yep.
right? Um, and I've had a long time to think about it, right? I didn't really say much the next couple of days after the Ravens lost. I was sitting there on Twitter. I started getting even more frustrated because I saw fans tweeting pictures of holding call here, holding call there, blah blah blah.
Sounds about
Right?
right.
There was no even though the worst ref in the NFL, Sean Smith, was reffing the game. That
Sean Smith.
there was yeah there was nothing that pointed to a call where it was like
Yeah.
absolute game changing. There was not. Let's be honest. There
Right.
was not. Right.
Right.
Uh, but my thoughts on again, I'm not really going to get into what I think the Ravens will be next season yet. Uh, but my thoughts on them losing. And the reason why it stings is because we've talked about it before, where not only do they easily have the best roster, they might have had the best coaching staff. And you knew, regardless how the season ended, very similar to the Eagles last season, that once it ended, if you won the Super Bowl or not, your coaches were going to start, leaving.
Right.
Mike McDonald being the head coach for the Seahawks. Um, Anthony Weaver, their defense line coach, becoming the defense coordinator for the Dolphins.
Right.
Their wide receivers coach leaving, their defensive back coach leaving.
Right.
Uh, and so I mean, you just start losing all these guys. You start losing your defensive staff,
Mhm.
uh, and and now of course you have people questioning, under John, and then you still got, but then you had people asking Todd to get fired after the game. So, y- yeah, I mean the Ravens fan base is like no other. It really is. I mean they're about as bipolar as it gets. However, you knew you were going to lose all these coaches. They're phenomenal coaches. They deserve these promotions. And then the other thing is all these really good players you had going into free agency, you knew you're not able to bring them back. And again, it's a conversation for another time. But that's why it stings because and there's many teams in any sport that we can talk about that have had such a successful regular season into the postseason, and then they just come up short. Right? There's
Mhm.
so many teams. I'm not saying the Ravens are the only team ever to experience this, right? But it's just a new model of it this year, right? The Ravens were dominating top tier teams again, as they always do every single season. and then they come up short.
Yeah.
And, like, that's what I'm saying, like, this isn't like the Dallas Cowboys, like, this isn't like "Oh, here we go, Cowboys win 11, 12 games, and they lose in the first round again." The thing is with the Ravens is they're winning the same amount of games, but let's talk about point differential. Let's talk about how they're beating playoff teams compared to how the Cowboys are.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the season, the Cowboys went down to Miami and lost. Towards
Yeah.
the end of the season, the Ravens beat Miami by like 45 points. Right? So you tell me a difference there, and I'm not just basing it off one single game, but that's just a perfect example off it the Ravens having this just huge, like, just weight on their shoulders of, will they win a Super Bowl with Lamar? Will they get over Patrick Mahomes? Uh, and guess what? It's gonna be there again the whole offseason. So,
Mhm.
it sucks because they were there, they were home. Uh, you know, the Ravens, I mean, obviously I wasn't there, but being on TV, I don't think I've seen the Ravens stadium more packed and more excited for a game. Um, so it's disappointing is not even the right word to use. I can just go on and on forever. But
Mhm.
uh, it's at the end of the day, it's not all sunshines and rainbows, when you're beating teams by 30 points every single week. Uh,
Yeah.
you get into the playoffs and you face a team like Kansas City that have been there their whole lives, it feels like,
Mhm.
and or for our whole lives, I should say. And they just kind of show why, no matter how talented, physical, strong, fast you are, it just won't matter. Um, like you went into that playoff game, the Ravens' first possession with the ball. Well, again, what's the Ravens' DNA? I can't say this over and over again. The Ravens' DNA, running the ball.
Yeah.
No matter who's calling the offense, Todd Monk and Greg Roman, Mark Trestman. Or not
Mark Trestman.
yeah, Mark yeah. I mean, I don't know, I forget the year he called our offense,
Uh,
you
One of the
know?
best.
Yep. And no matter who's calling the offense, the Ravens are running the ball. That's who they are. They're favored to sign Derrick Henry. I've seen some reports about Tony Pollard. They're gonna sign a big running back this offseason, Paris Lamar. They're gonna do it because it's who they are. And
Mhm.
that's why they beat these teams in the playoffs. And I said it on a previous episode we did where Patrick Queen said it after they destroyed Miami, or I think it was after they destroyed San Francisco, either one. He
Mhm.
literally said that the Ravens play a brand of football that nobody wants to play.
Mhm.
And it was a fact. It was an absolute fact. And they went against the Texans. And although the Texans played them kind of close in the first round, that or excuse me, the first half. When the second half came around, the Ravens went back to who they were, blew them out of the gates. And
Mhm.
against Kansas City, everybody watching, all the pressure on your shoulders of having your first AFC Championship game, and simply the moment got to them. And it seemed like out of how battle tested they were throughout years past of having injuries and having multiple playoff losses, that they would have been prepared for this moment. And you had them getting unsportsmanlike penalties. You have Kyle Van Noy hitting like Travis Kelsey in the face. You have Travis Jones like slapping Mahomes in the head. You have Zay Flowers getting up and flexing on one of the Chiefs' defensive backs. Literally, the moment got to them, which to me was shocking because that's not who the Ravens were. That's not who they were all season,
Yeah.
right? They're not going out there when they're doubted against Miami, when they're doubted against San Francisco, right? And they're literally going out there dominating these teams, and then they don't say anything else. They were one of those teams. I don't know what happened that game against the Chiefs, other than me thinking the moment was too big.
Right.
I mean, I think it's just kind of simple. Um, when the Ravens got the ball for the first possession, I think, or first or second possession, uh, they played their game, right? They freaking John Harbaugh having this same testicle size as Dan Campbell, going for a going for a 4th and 1, like, on their own 20 something yard line, like, early in the game. But it's like that's who the Ravens are. We're gonna run the ball. We're just like there's a very, very small chance that you're gonna stop Lamar Jackson from running for a first down, right?
Yeah.
Lamar runs for like a
Yep.
25-yard gain. You hand it to Gus Edwards, he runs for like a 20-yard gain. And now all of
Yeah.
a sudden you're like, "Yep, here we go. This is who they are. This is what they're gonna do all game." Then he
Yep.
throws a touchdown to Zay Flowers. It's like, "Yep, that's what they do. They make it come up. They use the speed of Zay Flowers. Boom, let's keep it rolling." And I don't know where it went the rest of the game. And I'm not gonna give a full breakdown of this game from quarter to quarter, but it was just very clear that for the rest of the game, I mean, they ran the ball, I think, a total of 5, 6 times.
Yeah.
So I'll never understand because I've seen this with the Ravens so many times. I'll never and I guess I'm the only one talking. Yeah. Well, either N accidentally backed out or he's in timeout now. Hold on, let's see here. What do you on a rabbit. Anyways, we'll continue on unless N sends me a message. Maybe he has to go. Maybe he has to go wipe himself again. I don't know. So, but we again, I don't know what else to say more than the moment getting too big. So they lost fair and square. I can't remember the final score 17 to 10. It was really a close game throughout the whole time. Like it seemed like the first half the Ravens defense didn't play their way, and then the second half they did, and then also second half the Ravens offense didn't play the way that they're supposed to. So like like what are you gonna do, right? Like you have to make mid game adjustments, and again they did it all season long, but for some reason at that point they just didn't. What was the point of signing Dalvin Cook? And here he comes.
Sorry, I had to. I never left. I had to back out because uh my computer was kind of glitching.
Yeah, glitching.
Yep.
Well, how's your new room set up back there?
Well, as you see back there, I got another computer or on this side.
Yep, yep, yep. I was kind of finishing up here, and I mean,
You're good.
just kind of
I've heard
referencing
you the whole
to
time.
yep, kind of referencing to why the Ravens just didn't stick to their identity, um, and that's just what experienced teams do, such as the Chiefs. They get them away from who they are. They start attracting these penalties. And again, when we're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs and so many games where the referee's been on their side, I know I wasn't going to get to this point, but they're obviously going to know a way to finagle some calls. It's just a fact.
Yeah.
So, uh, yeah, I mean, again, so many questions like why run the ball 6 more times after after Gus Edwards pop it off for 20 something yards or whatever.
Right.
Uh, why even sign Dalvin Cook if he's not even on the field?
Right.
Um, why sign Odell if he's catching 2 catches, every playoff game?
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, all in all, I think, just the word to use is it stings. Um, the Ravens, I'm pretty optimistic I'll be back there. But again, just like any other team, they have a big offseason. They have a very big cap hits for many of their players.
Hmm.
And a conversation for another time, but it stings. I loved watching this Ravens team. If you guys don't know, I went and saw them live 4 single times this year in 4 different cities, uh, which I will view as an accomplishment for a very long time. So I felt like, excuse me, I felt like out of all the games I went and saw them in, from Tampa to Baltimore to Arizona to Jacksonville, it really just felt like one of those seasons where it was just kind of a team of destiny. After they had a punt return touchdown against the Rams, uh, again, it just felt like destiny. But that's what
Hmm.
sports are, man. Sports are competitive. That's the beautiful thing about sports, that no matter how good you are, the once you get in the playoffs, it doesn't matter. So, uh, I'll be ready for next season. I'll still be defending Lamar, but again, the moral of the story, the end of the story, truly, is yeah, he still has his weight on his shoulders about him winning a Super Bowl, and it's going to stay there forever. And it's not going to get any easier because Mahomes is not going to go anywhere, and Joe Burrow's going to come back healthy next season, and CJ Stroud's only going to get better, and Josh Allen is still there. So it's not going to get any easier. but
Hmm.
I think the Ravens know that, and I think no team are gonna view the Ravens as someone that are gonna, you know, get worse next season. But, anytime you're right there, man, and, you're at home and you have the team and the coaches, yeah, it sucks. So, uh, a team I'll remember for a very long time, but at the end of the day, they didn't win the end goal. And, you know, what Al would say is that it ended up being a failure. So, this season was a failure, and, but again, we're talking about a different standard. So, I mean, if he thinks the Lions losing in his championship game is a failure, I'm not sure what to say.
I don't know
But
either. I hope
but
not.
the Ravens having big standards this season and not being able to get there when they should have been there, yeah, is I'm not gonna say a failure, but a major disappointment.
Well, Z, you mentioned that it's a team you'll never forget, right?
Right.
Well, it's a team that will never remember you.
Yeah, there it is. There it is. Yeah, there it is. Yeah,
Is that everything you have to say about the Ravens losing?
I think that's everything I gotta say. I mean, I think I hit everything right on the button, you know? Like,
Okay.
I'm not seeing pictures of Isaiah Likely getting held in triple coverage and thinking it's, pass interference. I'm not sitting here, when Kyle Van Noy is trying to get around Donovan Smith, and Donovan Smith is holding on over one play.
Right.
Like, I hate getting in that conversation unless it's something along the lines of, like, what we saw in the Rams and Saints way back when.
Mhm.
That's a whole different story. But anybody that's just using just the and again, this is exactly why I wanted to delete Twitter. I mean, it's just awful. It's just awful. So, um, and we're gonna go into another long off season,
Yeah.
for the
Yep.
Ravens. And again, like I said, I'm very optimistic they'll be back there. I'll be there for their home opener next season. I'll be there through the thick and thin. I'll defend Lamar through the thick and thin. But yeah, there
Never
are
forget the multiple times that you said you were over him.
yeah, there it is. There it
Just
is.
never forget it.
There it is. You know what's funny is you're gonna put me in the category of like the very first playoff game Lamar had against the Chargers and fans were booing him and telling him to get out. You put me in that category when I've never been in that category.
I'm not putting you in
You
that
know?
category, G.
Yeah. Well,
I
and what do you
just
think
find it
that
funny all the fans, that's their guy, it's their quarterback, rightfully so. But they were wanting him to be benched and booed out of the building, and he was a failure of a draft pick and everything
yeah,
else.
yeah, yeah. Apparently here ends everything from all the Ravens fans. So uh,
See, I
you
see
know,
more than you do.
yeah, yeah, I'm sure you do. So I mean I see your tweets. I see your a lot of them recently has been SmackDown, which seems like which
Yeah,
you can
about
thank The
SmackDown,
Rock.
yeah.
You can thank The Rock for taking over and expanding the ratings.
Yeah,
Uh,
expanding the ratings.
yep, this is gonna get in tight because he doesn't think it is. Uh, but anyways, and so that's kind of my last my last part to say on it. Um, but here we are approaching another off season, which is
Mhm,
always exciting. You
yep,
um, obviously it starts with the free agency.
yep.
Starts with free agency. We get into the draft talk later on. And again, I know we're not going to give our free agency predictions, but I don't know if you want to reference the Steelers, or I don't know if you just want to reference any big names that are going out there, or maybe potentially get cut. I guess maybe what are some things in the offseason that you're really looking forward to? Like one for like an example for me, um, I guess if I'd say if there's one thing this offseason really pay attention to, I don't care about the new coaches. I don't care. I don't
Mhm,
care.
mhm.
Okay. Oh well. uh, I don't know. I can't even think of any coaches' names that were hired. Jesus. Well, Gerard Mayo. You know,
Yeah,
like whatever. All right,
yawn,
congratulations, Gerard Mayo.
absolute
Yeah,
yawn.
congratulations, Gerard Mayo. Uh, and because I actually kind of like that. I like promoting within. I think the Patriots do a good job. Obviously, the Chargers hiring Jim Harbaugh is the biggest news we've probably had so far in the offseason.
Mhm.
Um, so I mean that again, a whole conversation for another time. But
What about
what?
Clifford coming back in the league?
God, did he officially become? I thought he backed out of being the coordinator.
He's with Washington.
I was watched. Oh God. Yeah, Cliff and Dan Quinn. I mean, that is just awful. Oh my god.
Oh, so yeah, I give it 2 years.
Yeah. I mean, so and do you think this is gonna be like an off season of I don't think so. I mean, I think the quarterbacks we have set in place, I don't think there's many quarterbacks, big names are gonna be traded other than really
Mhm.
Justin Fields, maybe. I don't think anyone's gonna want Russell Wilson. Um, like, I guess, do you think we'll see any big trades? I mean, I mean, cap casualties are always a thing, but uh,
Mhm.
like, what are you kind of really keeping your eye close on? If it, which probably includes the Steelers, what are you kind of keeping your eyes close on as we approach, the free
Yeah.
agency point?
Well, I'm definitely interested to see what the Bears are gonna do. I think that they're gonna go with Caleb Williams at number 1 and end up trading Justin Fields to whoever. Um, there's a little bit of quarterback carousel that's a little interesting. It's not as big as from a couple years ago, but there's some names out there that are excuse me, interesting. I think you look at guys like Mike Evans, T. Higgins, those are a couple guys. There's a lot of wide receivers out there that
Yeah,
are
there's a lot.
free agents, and I'm kind of excited to see where those guys are gonna go. Who else? Um,
Well, let's see who else we got here. We got
I'd have to yeah, look up the free agency list. I haven't really looked at every position as free agency, but more so wide receiver, quarterback, couple of the running backs like Saquon, Derrick Henry. Obviously, the Ravens have it's been kind of talked about they might have an interest there. Tony Pollard's free agent. Um, so there's some names out there. Is Devontae Adams going to get moved to the Jets? Doubt it, but still,
God.
yeah, I know. I mean, just I don't even know. I don't even know.
I mean, I guess if I
I'd
bring
like to
up
see the
some,
Packers go get a big wide receiver.
yeah, I mean, you can still see me right because I'm on a different tab here.
Yeah, you're good.
Um, Obviously, there's multiple different names. I mean, I'm not gonna say every single one, but some other big names in reference to, I guess, the offense side of the ball. I'm not saying Odell Beckham, Jesus. Um,
Goodbye.
obviously,
What?
just yeah, see ya. You know,
Oh.
um,
There's
uh,
one fan out there, "Oh, you gotta bring him back."
yeah, yep,
No.
yep.
No.
I know.
Good
Well,
riddance.
that 15 million was a great price. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's a bargain for a guy like yeah, okay.
yeah,
Give
yeah,
me a
yeah,
break. Give me a break.
yeah. Well, I mean, we got plenty of, I guess for the offense side of the ball, some other names, some other big running backs, Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, of course. A whole lot of offensive linemen looks like here. Some aging offensive linemen though. Tyron Smith, Jason Kelsey hasn't decided yet what he's doing. Seems like he's gonna retire.
Yeah,
Some other wide
I think so.
receivers. I mean, Tyler Boyd. I mean, I feel like this guy's been in the league for 80 years now. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, lots of good running backs here. I feel like on the defense side of the ball, though, this is kind of where really this is going to be interesting. Uh, a lot of big defensive linemen: Leonard Williams, Chris Jones, Daniil Hunter, Carl Lawson, some safeties: Buda Baker, Eddie Jackson, DJ Reader, Dory Jackson.
Ooh, Buda
Uh,
Baker.
I thought I didn't realize he was a free agent, but maybe he's just a cap casualty. I'm not. No, it looks like he's a free agent. I think he's on the list. So plenty of other names: Darius Smith, Kendall
Who?
Fuller. Darius Smith,
Oh, it was Darius Smith. Yeah, yawn.
Chase Young. I feel like everybody forgot about him
Yawn.
now.
Yawn.
Uh, I don't know why I'm saying that so aggressively. Um, yeah, I mean, so really, Austin Eckler is another one right there.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
got Josh Allen on. So I'm looking on sporttrack.com, and these guys do a horrendous job. Uh, because
That's usually what I go on to look at the list.
well, it's not in order. Like, I'm really seeing names down here where I'm like, why are these guys all the way down
It's
here?
not in order, no.
So lots of big defenders in reference to all positions. Obviously, Kirk Cousins is a free agent as well. We got to see, a
Yep.
35-year-old quarterback coming off an Achilles injury.
Right.
Where he's going to land. I feel like right now it's likely that he just goes back to Minnesota.
Mhm.
Um, but lots of, just like in the offseason, lots of big, names in every single position. Uh, so how
Well,
about
I
let's
think that there's gonna be well, every year, there's always guys that get cut that surprise you. But I think there's
Right.
gonna be a couple guys that couple big guys that get cut. And I
Give
know
us
that we
3
say that every
guys,
year, but
3, just 3 that you want the Steelers to target. Free agents, not trades,
free
free agents.
not trades, free agents. All right, I'll give you
Free
3.
agents. 3.
Kirkland?
It Kirkland.
Yeah. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say it obviously it could be one of one of the Steelers free agents. Like for the Ravens, for example, I have Matabike in their top 3.
Right. I don't
So
really think the Steelers don't really have anybody free agent wise they're pretty tied up right now with guys, and
yeah.
there's gonna be a lot of cuts for them. Like they've already got rid of Presley
Never
Harvin.
forget. Yeah, God.
What?
See ya.
Good
Oh,
riddance.
he's oh,
Okorafor gone. They already
yeah,
released him. Mitch gone.
yeah.
Those are 3 guys already. They were very quick to get rid of.
And Harvin might have been one of the worst punters I've ever seen. So,
Harvin's awful.
yeah,
He's a good
yeah,
guy, but he's just awful. He's
yeah.
awful.
I mean, I'd rather have Marquette King. Yeah,
I'd rather have Brad Wing.
yeah. I'd rather have Dave Zassadil. So,
Yeah, I would too. Yeah, no,
uh,
Harvin was bad.
like, never forget, when the Steelers, got in that number 7 seed and seeing Kevin on Twitter saying, "Don't let us in the
Right.
playoffs."
Yeah. It's
Uh,
just
Dan Moore's the new Joe Thomas.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
He definitely didn't say that. I don't know where you're getting that from.
so anyway, so
But
Kirkland number 1. That's a big one. That's a big
yeah,
one.
Kirkland, and I don't care if these are unrealistic or realistic. 'Cause he told me to give him 3 names I would like to see. Kirkland is one.
Yeah, it's not
L'Jarius
about cap.
Sneed. Yep,
Jerry Sneed.
L'Jarius Sneed from the Chiefs 2, and number 3, Patrick Queen.
God.
I know. Like I said, this isn't, I'm not here to break stuff down. You're gonna have somebody in the comments or somebody on Twitter or stuff like that be like, "Oh, it's not gonna happen." Blah blah blah. I'm just giving 3 names. Freaking relax.
Yeah. No, I mean, you give reasonable points. If you think about the inside linebacker position, I think Queen's probably better than any of the 2 inside linebackers they have.
Absolutely is.
L'Jarius Sneed
Not even
L'Jarius
close.
Sneed with Joey Porter Jr.'s W. And then
Absolutely.
obviously Kirk Cousins speaks for itself.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
I guess if I'd give 3 for the Ravens, um, I've already said 1, so I'd say Matabike, which I was
Who was
reading
your
about
first one?
earlier. I'm not. I guess this isn't in order. Well, I guess I can put in order. Matabike number 1. I'm just putting Matabike. You don't really find, and Ed knows this with having Cam Hayward on the team.
Mhm.
Um, Brett
Yeah.
Kiesel, yeah, ass.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, Kiesel's ass.
and he was all right. Let's be honest.
He wasn't this Pro Bowl type guy, but he was a big guy on their line.
Right. And Ed knows this more than anybody, having Cam Hayward there for such a longevity career and more likely than not a Hall of Fame career. But when it comes to having a dominant interior lineman,
Yeah.
defensive lineman, extremely hard to find. Extremely hard
Yeah,
to
for
find.
sure, for sure.
There's there's
Matabike's gotta be number 1 on the list for sure.
yeah, there's not many of them in the league. So
Yeah. He's a great player.
so so I'm gonna put Matabike number 1. And I'm gonna throw out an interesting name here. I'm gonna throw out an interesting one.
Okay.
I haven't really thought about this because I know I literally just asked you this question, but so I haven't really thought about this for the Ravens, but I'm not gonna sit here and waste that much time with it. Uh, Number 2, I'm gonna say Mike Evans.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. Big
Yep.
Mike.
I'm gonna say Mike Evans is number 2.
Okay.
Um, and then at number 3, I kind of want to
Got
go.
got crapped on him every year in fantasy, but now he wants him.
Yeah, yeah,
Guarantee if he goes to Ravens, he would draft him.
yeah.
Guarantee he
Well,
would
and
pick
let's
him.
be and let's be honest. We've both had Mike Evans in fantasy,
Yes, we
and
have.
there's 2 weeks where he gets 35 apiece, and then the next week he gets 0.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Uh, but so I'm gonna put Mike Evans number 2 and number 3. And I know I only picked
Oh,
three
Clowney.
players. Yeah, 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 Clowney. Uh, you know, I get a free agent that somebody could find some value out of. Uh, but I guess if I'm gonna choose another one, I'm gonna do it between 2 different guys. I'm gonna do either I'm either gonna do Derrick Henry for the Ravens, or I'm gonna do like Daniil Hunter. Daniil Hunter. So
Okay.
um,
All right.
again, we're not talking about cap here. We're not talking about things like that. Oh,
No, all
how
that's out
you
the window.
yeah.
The
How you
the cap's a freaking myth. That's what it is.
eh,
It's all story. It's what it is. It's all story.
and it absolutely is, and half of it goes into Roger's pocket.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So, yeah,
You know?
anybody out there, oh well, they're $40 million over the cap. Look at the Niners, dude.
Yeah.
Sure, they're not paying a quarterback, but they have so many positions. They got McCaffrey, they got Debo, they got Kittle, they got
Yep.
8 guys on their defense they're paying big contracts to. It doesn't freaking
Yep.
matter.
Alright, now how about let's go with 3 players, you want to see the Steelers move off of.
Oh, okay, that's a good one. Um, all right, Mason Cole.
See in the XFL.
Yeah, awful, awful. And it's funny because he was okay last year, but it was just a Band-Aid. When they signed him last year to a 3-year deal, I knew that he was going to start at least for a year to be a Band-Aid. This year he was miserable. Every other snap was in the ground. His pass protection was awful. He couldn't open up any gaps. You had say Malu and Daniels freaking having to make up his broken assignment. It was bad. It was really
Yeah,
bad.
yeah.
Mason Cole, goodbye.
See ya.
Who else would I excuse me, who else would I put on that list? Um, well, they moved off Mitch, they moved off of Okorafor, they moved off Presley Harvin.
Yeah,
So
so
Mason Cole,
we can't count those
number
guys.
yeah, so we're not gonna count them. Number 2, I'll say geez, let me think. Let me think of everybody. Um, and I'm not gonna name like some bench guy that they can save like 1-2 million bucks. Like these are
Right.
gonna be guys that have been in an important part. Number 2, I'm gonna go Allen Robinson. Goodbye. Waste of time. Waste of time. Last year when they signed him, like it wasn't something of like it was like, oh, so exciting. I figured probably his leadership was probably a big part of that, but maybe somebody that could do a little bit as a wide receiver 3. He was very ineffective. I think at this point in his career, he's definitely a guy that's more of a locker room guy, but they're not going to pay him $11 million next year. Not going to happen. He's gone.
Uh,
And
have been
I like to
irrelevant
see
since he left
them.
the Jags.
Yeah. I like to see them move off, just save that money, and you can definitely get a better piece there. The other one, I'd say, does Kenny count?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not
That's a big
saying
one.
this that they're going to cut him. They're not, but um,
Oh, that's 100% a
w-
reasonable answer. Honestly, I was gonna throw Kenny in the top 3.
yeah, like Kenny honestly will be my number one, but I'm not putting
Right.
this in order. Mason Cole, Allen Robinson, Kenny Pickett.
No.
Kenny, you got to move off of. I'm sorry. You're not. They're not going
Yeah,
to cut him. They're not going to cut him. But you got to move off of. You got to upgrade. And something
right.
that Steeler fans, there's a lot of Steeler fans that are in that realm where they would like to see them go in a different direction. There's also fans out there that want to see him get a shot with Arthur Smith. But as I've said before, anybody that's making the argument that okay, they want to give Kenny a shot or give a short leash to him under a new guy. Okay, listen, I understand your argument. Okay, he looked a little bit more free. He looked a little more comfortable without Matt Canada there for that one game, but that wasn't anything extraordinary. That was 270 yards, and that was about it. That
Guy
was
does
about all
guy
he got.
guy 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 doesn't make he doesn't have game-changing speed like Lamar has.
No,
He doesn't
no.
have that big
He
he had 7 touchdown passes.
6.
God.
Yeah, I know. I don't know how people are still defending the guy, and there's people
I don't
out there.
know.
I don't
I don't know.
understand it. I don't understand it, and it's not hate toward Kenny. When they drafted him, I was okay with it. I wasn't there saying that he was the guy that
You
I wanted or didn't want, but when they took
you
him,
want
I
a
was okay
Willis.
with it.
You want a Willis.
Yeah, I wanted Willis. Definitely didn't. I was just like, hey, take the best player. If they decide to take a quarterback, whatever. It was a
Yep.
weird draft that year. It was a very weird draft.
Yeah, it was.
But when they took him, I was like, okay, I think this is probably the best place for him. Give him a shot. I'm all for it. They need a new quarterback. This is just kind of what happens when your guy retires. That's what you got to do. And he
Yep.
had his rookie year. Wasn't very good, but there were some good things there in the fourth quarter, stuff like that. But this year was the real test, and it was just awful. And I know Matt Canada was a part of that. But when you have your quarterback that's still not showing A, B, or C, even in the midst of a bad offense or even in the midst of a bad play caller, through 25 starts plus, it's probably safe to say that's probably about who you are. You're a backup quarterback, and
All
that's
right, so
probably what
then,
Kenny is. I think Kenny. I'm not going to say Kenny's career is over. I'm not going to say he doesn't have a part in this league. He can maybe be a good quality backup quarterback, but he's not the future of the Steelers. He's not. And people have to realize that, okay, if you're going to give Kenny another shot under a new OC, you have to understand that he's going to have a historical turnaround because he is historically the worst quarterback from a touchdown ratio standpoint since the NFL merger, since they merged with the AFL in 1970. So you're betting on Kenny Pickett having one of the biggest turnarounds in NFL history. Then that's what those fans are betting on. What's the point? What's the point in giving him a shot when it's most likely he's not going to develop into somebody that's worthy of a first round pick?
mhm.
Why are you wasting your time? The
I mean,
Steelers, yeah, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say. I mean, we've for our listeners. I mean, we've had this conversation probably 8,000 times on this channel, and
Yes, sir.
eventually I'm gonna kick my feet up for the day that I see Kenny Pickett off the Steelers roster because it just at a point where it's stalling
Yeah,
their I don't want to say development, but it's just it's stalling time for them to get over to get to that next level like they were with Ben.
right. And that's the thing with the team. It'd be different if the Steelers didn't have a lot of talent or lack talent, and they were rolling the dice where, okay, we'll give them one more year under a new guy. Maybe there's something. If not, it's going to give us a high draft pick. The Steelers aren't in that spot. The Steelers do have a good roster. They have good talent on their offense. They got talent on their defense. They're going to do what they can to add to it. But your quarterback position, let's look at it last year. I think Z, if they had an average quarterback position, they're probably going to win a couple more games,
Hmm.
and they're probably going to be a little bit more of a formidable team. And they didn't have that. I just don't really understand why people defend that. I really don't. I think if the opportunity is there to upgrade in any kind of way, you do it. And even if it's not an upgrade where you're going to sit there and say, yeah, this guy's going to be our long term answer, but even it's an upgrade for a couple years until you find your next guy,
Kirkland.
and you can, yeah, Kirkland,
Well,
and
obviously the thing is if you trade for
you
Fields,
can
then
maximize more.
if you're trading for Fields, there's no way you're looking at him as a band-aid, I
Well, right.
guess. Like,
Well, yeah, yeah. That's the thing. So the thing with Justin Fields, there's a lot of talk going on with him in terms of what are the Bears gonna do. I think right now, Z, the two options are the Falcons, the Steelers. I think those are the two
yeah.
teams. I
And
don't see
and
anybody
again,
else.
the question I asked and was not about who the Steelers should trade for. It was more just the
Yeah,
unrestricted free agents. So
yeah, yeah.
the trade about
So
Justin Fields is a different conversation.
yeah, yeah, it is. But in terms of just kind of that three that Z asked me on who I'd like to see them move on from, Mason Cole,
Right.
Kenny, and Allen Robinson. I said Kenny, not where he
Right.
needs to be cut, but you need to go in a different direction. I think, especially with where you're at, it'd be different. Like I said, if they were in a spot where they didn't have a lot of talent and they're really rebuilding their roster, um, but they're not in that spot. They have talent. They have talent that can win games. I mean, heck, they won 10 games with Kenny and Mason Rudolph and Mitch Trubisky, their quarterback. They have talent. They need a formidable quarterback there to at least maximize more of that offensive talent and to give the rest of that roster a shot.
All right. So Kenny Allen, yeah, Allen.
Yeah. See,
Talk about a career.
there's not much to say.
I mean,
You know who's another guy I like to see them just cut is Keanu Neal. Freaking waste of time.
uh, yeah. I mean, Allen Robinson. We talk about a career being done. I mean, I don't know why
It's
another team would sign him. You know what I mean?
I don't know either.
Which is a shame because he's not even like 30 years old yet.
Yeah.
Um, if I guess if I'd give 3 for the Ravens real quick, I'm gonna throw I have no choice but to throw out some big names in. I have to.
Yeah. Yeah. See it.
First one, Ryan Stanley. Yeah.
Okay.
Ryan Stanley. I mean, like a
Yeah,
$30 million cap hit.
Ronnie
I mean,
Stanley's a big name. The guy's nothing
yeah.
but paper. He's
Nope.
very overpaid, especially for his availability and in terms of his production, for sure.
Yeah. I'm for Ryan Stanley first with him approaching 30 years old. Um, number 2, Uh, this this is gonna be kind of shocking because when I say both these players, it's literally just like it's like, well, so now what are you gonna do next season? Number
Yeah.
two, I'm just gonna say Morgan Moses. You know,
What's he got?
Mm,
What's he got? One more year left?
he's got one more year, but I mean the guy's like 34. So I
Right.
mean, like, see
Well,
ya.
so what do they have somebody in the wings right now that can step up, or would they have to tackle that in the offseason?
They have absolutely nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ben
Oh,
Cleveland?
Daniel Falale. Yeah. God. I mean, the guy moves like an elephant.
What about Ben
You
Cleveland,
know,
Lee? Yeah,
and he's a guard. So, um, so I'm gonna say both tackles, just because
Okay.
they're aging and
Junior tackle. All right.
they're not always on the field.
Okay.
Um, if I just go number three, obviously there's already a lot of free agents I don't have interest in coming back. Odell Beckham, um, John Simpson, Sia, uh, Patrick Queen. I don't think he's going to come back, and obviously I want him to come back. But if reference to somebody that's on there that I would see them want to just
Somebody's
dump,
gonna overpay for him, Z.
yeah.
He'll go to Carolina or something.
It's tough. There's not really any other starter I could say. Uh, so I'll go with oh man, because I don't
Scout.
want to. I don't want. Uh, yeah, and I'm gonna go David Ajabo.
Oh, that Michigan guy.
Yeah, I think that's a decent answer. I think that's a decent
Well,
answer.
I
Yeah,
remember I was told when was he drafted? A year
here
or
we
two
go.
ago?
Here we go. Yeah, 2 years
2 years
ago.
ago? 2 years
Yep.
ago? That once he came back in December of 2022, he was gonna really take off.
Yeah. I mean, just, obviously it was everybody knows the story. Stud in Michigan, was very a popular, like, top 15 in mock drafts. Tore his Achilles during his pro day.
Yeah.
The Ravens took him in the second round.
Horse Achilles.
Um,
God.
God, yeah. And then, um, yeah, the Ravens take him. Many people view it as a steal for him to come back. Then, obviously, it took a long time for him to come back in his rookie year. This year, he played, like, 2 games, and then got shut down again. So, project
Right.
over, see you later. Oh, or I can even just say Tyus I'll go Tyus Bowser. I'll go Tyus Bowser. How about that one?
There you go. There you
I
go.
mean, the
Another
guy
waste of time.
guy didn't play 1 snap this year. So,
That's
yeah.
awful.
Tyus Bowser, 100%. He literally has, like, a $5-6 million cap hit, and they can save all of it by cutting him.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
Tyus Bowser. Tyus Bowser.
Yeah.
So that I'll
Go
put
get
that
go
in my
get
top
somebody
3.
else maybe more valuable. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
trash.
Um
That's trash.
Now, so I guess some other things outside of the Steelers and Ravens. I mean, when we talk about some other teams that um, overachieved, right? Such as teams like the Texans, teams as the Lions. Maybe you can even say the Buccaneers. I don't know, right? But obviously, the Lions and Texans, for the most part, the Lions getting so much talk, all the way until they got eliminated, and CJ Stroud being the Rookie of the Year. Like, how do you expect those teams to get better?
Mhm.
Like for me, when it comes to the Texans and how young of a head coach they have, how young of a roster they have,
Mhm.
um, in reference like the receivers
Yeah.
around CJ, like Tank Dell. I know he's coming off an injury, but he'll be ready. Tank Dell
Nico
and Nico
Collins.
Collins,
Mhm.
um, and like how do you expect these teams to build in free agency in reference to like, obviously they're probably going to sign, a couple, two or three, most likely, I'm assuming, big names of that roster. Like I guess if I give an
Mhm.
example for maybe the Texans, I mean I'm not going with Devin Singletary as my running
No.
back next season.
No. Not at
So
all.
like, maybe they're a popular destination for, Josh Jacobs. Maybe they're a popular destination for Saquon if he's not
That'd
tagged,
be great.
right?
Yeah.
Yes. So, like, how do you view these teams? And maybe there's another team I'm forgetting that I, can't really remember, but, um, like, how should they build in the offseason without
Well,
without just opening with not going into the typical generic answer of, "Oh, just opening up the checkbook and start bringing in, Chris
like the
Jones and
Jags,
Josh
yeah.
Jacobs." Yeah, awful.
Yeah. Well, the Texans are gonna be a more attractive destination for sure. The Texans, I think, got on track probably more quickly than they thought they would. Um, Seems like they got a head coach, a lot of players want play for. CJ Stroud looks to be the answer. I know it's his rookie year, but he had a phenomenal rookie season. They're definitely going to do some things to help him out. The Texans are probably going to be the favorite to win that division next year. Um,
They're gonna win the division. Colts, Anthony Richardson, we didn't see enough.
yeah,
Jags, biggest joke in the league.
Titans
And then
can take
yeah,
time.
it's
Yeah.
gonna take a while.
Yeah, it is. I think it'd be great if they added one of those premier running backs there with CJ Stroud. You could always bring another wide receiver to pair with Nico. Defensively, there's some guys out there. Don't know what you want to do with Steven Nelson if you want to start him again, but there's some corners that they could look at. You can get an edge rusher if you want. So the fact that the Texans have really kind of rebuilt or have been trying to rebuild the last 4 years and have invested a lot in draft capital, they're going to be able to finally be in a spot where, okay, we've hit some of our picks. We finally have a vision. We have a direction. Now we're going to start bringing in some guys, and guys are going to want to play for them. So I think the Texans you're going to look at as a team that's going to take an even bigger leap next year. With the Lions, I think it's more so with the Lions. It's more structure. I feel like for them, what I mean by structure in terms of you got Ben Johnson returning, Dan Campbell in terms of what they like to do, rather more so than the Lions just writing checkbooks and everything. To me, it's more so finding guys that fit what they do. Because when outside of Amon-Ra St. Brown and their line, they don't really have. I know Jahmyr Gibbs looked good in more ways than not his rookie year. But for the Lions, it's not more so writing the checkbook and trying to get stars in there, maybe like the Texans might do now because they've invested a lot in a young core and they're not really paying anybody right now. With the Lions, you are paying a couple guys, but with them, it's more structure. It's more schematic for me, in my opinion. I think you really just need guys in there that are going to buy into what Dan Campbell tries to sell, which people have done, but also just in terms of what they try to do. And they got a lot of guys on their defense that aren't these higher name guys, but guys that are producing and what they do defensively. So I think from that aspect, from what Ben Johnson's been doing with them, I think if you can find some guys in that mold, they'll sign some guys in, but I don't think Z that they're gonna go spending top dollar.
Yeah. Um, there's so many valuable names on the market that you can get for the right price, just depending on as the um, the first stage of free agency, and once you get over that first stage of free agency, and there you go, Tito's barking up a storm downstairs. Uh, like
Eh,
once you get over that first stage of free agency, and there's some guys that some teams like that are still there, that means you just hit the jackpot because that means they're not going to
right,
require
right.
an unlimited amount of guaranteed dollars. Um,
Well, yeah,
I guess
The
maybe
Lions have a lot of guys that they're not paying like a ton of their guys on the defense
yeah.
side of the ball. You have
Well,
Jared
they're gonna have
Goff,
to soon.
of
They're gonna
course,
have to
but yeah,
soon. I
yeah,
mean,
you're gonna have to soon. But
yeah.
that's what I mean. Like they'll make some signings just like probably every other team will. But I don't think that you're going to see some of these big moves, blockbuster names, or anything go there. I think that they're going to try to run back what they had a lot this year. They're going to kind of stick with what they've been doing the last 2 years, and they're going to try to find guys that really fit in well with their system rather than writing an open checkbook.
Yeah, in coming years, Amon Ra, Panay Sewell, Aiden,
Yeah,
those are some guys that, you have to,
yeah,
obviously they're in such early stages of their career, but you have to think about it just to the small part of the side of making sure you're ready
yeah.
for when that comes around. Um, I guess maybe the last question we can get to here um, is always a big one in reference to what team what teams do you think off the top of my head, I'm just gonna say the Eagles.
Okay.
What teams do you think need to have a great offseason here? Because if they don't succeed next season, we could see some catastrophic things go on in there.
What do I
And
think
the
the
reason why
Eagles need to do this offseason? Is that what you're saying?
no, I'm saying the Eagles fall in that category in reference to I think they need to have a very successful offseason because if
Oh,
they
like
if
who I think has a big offseason?
yeah, I'm gonna say two. I'm gonna say the Eagles and Bills. And the reason why I say those two is not in reference to the future of Josh Allen or Jalen Hurts, but for the future of Nick
Mhm.
Sirianni and McDermott for sure.
Right. I see what you mean.
You think about guys in the locker room like Stephon Diggs or AJ Brown
Mhm.
who, I don't want to say are divas, but you could definitely see them getting traded. I see Diggs getting traded this offseason.
You
Um,
could. I wouldn't be surprised.
but to me, those are at least 2 teams, and maybe those are your 2 teams if you think of some other ones,
Oh, you could definitely
uh,
say
that
them.
that I think, like, if they don't hit this offseason,
Yeah,
in
I
reference
hear
to
you.
it for yeah, then we could see some crazy things next offseason for them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Um, Let me think real quick. Um,
And I think you really have to go with teams that have been so close to winning it the last couple of years, and the Eagles and Bills, obviously,
yeah,
they've been there for so many years now, and
yeah,
although the Bills had a really, I would say, a successful season, I would not say the Eagles did, which is weird because they started off, like, 9-1.
right.
Um, yeah,
Oh,
I'm looking at
The
these
Eagles reminded me a lot of the 2020 Steelers, a lot. They had a
worst
lot of
worst 11-0 team ever.
well, see, it's still hard to do. Not too many teams start 11-0,
Uh,
but they had a lot of problems even though they were winning games. All right, let me think of a couple teams because those are two. I kind of want to say the Chargers, not in the sense because they just hired Jim Harbaugh, but I want to say them because like them hiring Jim Harbaugh is kind of a new step of a direction. And
definitely.
The Chargers, since they drafted Herbert, have just been in this spot of mediocrity. They have not been able to get over any type of hump in their division. I know the Chiefs are there, but still, you're not able to get in the playoffs. You're not able to make a playoff run. You're not able to win anything with Justin Herbert there. And I'm not saying Justin Herbert's this amazing quarterback, but I think he's a guy that can have a great career. I really do. I think he's one of the better young quarterbacks in the league for sure. I think he is going to get better, but I'm going to say the Chargers for an offseason this year. Eckler's a free agent. They have some guys that are some free agents as well.
Get rid of Mike Williams.
Z again, just a walking piece of paper.
And,
I even think too, like you look at some guys on their defensive side of the football, like you might have to make a couple moves there.
well, you got Khalil Mack that's a free agent, you know?
Yeah, so you have some things there that you have to take care of. But I'm saying the Chargers, they just hired Harbaugh. This is a new step in the direction for them. They need to make a point. They need to finally make a point here of having a guy like Justin Herbert having a good offseason and starting your new era, your new direction under Jim Harbaugh. Rather
Yep,
than sitting stat po, you just hired Jim, but it's not a very well-rounded roster, and especially in an AFC that's going to get better, quarterbacks are gonna be back next year. You're gonna have to do something for the Chargers because you can't just stay pat with where you've been the last 2 years.
yep,
This is a new regime now. So I'm gonna say the
yep.
Chargers. If I had to give you one more team, big offseason. Um,
Could go the Bengals. You could definitely go the Bengals.
I'm gonna hold off on them. I'm gonna hold off on them because Burrow got hurt.
Right.
Um, I kind of want to say Washington. The reason why is because all their new ownership and they have new coaches now, and they've turned away from Ron Rivera. I know they're in a spot where they're really still not quite sure with their quarterback situation, but they've been in a spot too where they've been drafting guys and trying to develop guys and trying to get really some bad history behind them, and they had a really bad year. But now you have a new coaching staff. I think that they really could take a quarterback. Z. They have what the second or third pick in the draft.
I think they have the second, or no, I
Yeah.
think Patriots
So
have the second. I can't
yeah,
remember.
third pick. So they could take Drake
Yeah,
May or Jaden Daniels if they want. So they really could take a quarterback and start a new direction there. But I think really with the new ownership now and how big of a deal that was for them last year, I think if they can really put their foot in the ground, have a big offseason in terms of their free agency, getting a possible franchise quarterback, depending who they take there, that can set them in a great direction finally.
right. Yeah, I mean, I'm not
So,
surprised none of us obviously said the Cowboys. I mean, you know, I
the
mean,
reason why I didn't say the Cowboys is just because this is year after year, Z. This is year after year. I feel like it doesn't
yep,
freaking matter what they do in the offseason. They just choke. They just
yeah.
choke. They just cannot get over it. It doesn't matter who they bring in.
I was kind of potentially thinking like Denver too, but I think just we have to see if Russell Wilson will be on the team next season.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that they're going to start entering a more retool rebuild phase,
yeah.
and Sean Payton's just going to do everything he wants to do.
And I think another team that falls into the Lions and, Texans territory of, uh, overachieving, I think we kind of totally blew over them, was Green Bay, right? So, um,
Oh,
you
for
know
sure.
you know
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Jordan
you
Love
know
was better than I think anybody expected him to be, and that's
absolutely.
yeah, Green Bay's just getting the quarterback position right. They definitely need to help bring in a wide receiver. They need to help their line a little bit. Bakhtiari retired. See you later. See you later.
Oh,
Just an
see ya.
absolute see ya. Just I mean, Z,
Stealing money.
you talk about steal money. You talk about freaking U.S. Bank, Chase Bank, everything in between. You talk about
TD
Bradley Beal. This
Bank.
guy's right up there with. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
but Bakhtiari, awful.
Yeah,
Good riddance.
yeah,
Good riddance. So they're going to have to do a little bit in their line. They're going to need a little out of their defense. I don't know if Jair Alexander is going to get moved or not. There's some bad tension there. But they're in
yeah.
a position where they feel great about their future as they should with their quarterback. Now you just have to help add to that because Green Bay, you add to that what you did. You won what would they win? 9 games, 10 games. They won
9.
a playoff game. 9 games. You
Yeah.
win a playoff game. Jordan Love turns out to be better than you expected him to be his first year as a full-time starter. Now you add a little bit to your offense, you make a few moves in free agency, you do your draft, you're right there possibly with the Lions.
And I mean, let's be honest, they you I don't think there's any other team that could have had a more difficult path in the playoffs than
Right.
what the
100%.
Packers had from going on the road to on the road to Dallas to on the road to San Francisco, and almost beating them.
100%.
And
Yeah.
you literally would have to go through 3, 2, 1 to get
Yeah.
to get to the Super Bowl. So
Yeah.
that is an insanely hard, and the fact that they almost beat San Francisco, says a lot
Yeah.
about their
No,
development.
and
So
that's what should motivate them the most is like especially their front office, is just that fact alone. It's just that fact alone. If you're a
yeah,
Packer fan, you should be very excited.
yeah. So and listen, if you guys got some different opinions, it helps. First of all, it helps us grow when you guys so in comments. So we haven't had one for a while. So make
Yeah.
sure somebody at least one person. I'm gonna ask for at least one person to do it this time. So
Yeah, one person,
if
they probably see, they probably didn't even last this whole video, let's be honest.
probably not,
We're over an
probably
hour.
not.
Probably
Yeah,
not.
but
We
I mean, I
we would
think
love
and
to
I
start
kind
going live sometimes. I go live every once in a while on my own channel by myself, but we would like to start going live. If we can get at least a few more, or if we know we do get a consistent audience of people, so that would be fun if we could do live streams sometimes rather than just a basic recording. But yeah, other than that, Z, I want to ask you one more question as we're talking about it. What would you like to see Justin Fields here in Pittsburgh?
not. It wouldn't really scare me.
Okay.
I do like Justin Fields, and but I don't think he's deserved the respect of thinking that he could be a franchise quarterback, thinking that
Yeah.
he's the kind of quarterback that the Bears can skip past Caleb Williams with because he
Right.
only shows promise in like the final 5 games of the year.
Yeah.
So, um, I had him in fantasy this year. He was a headache in fantasy to have. God, um,
Yeah, that was
but
now Z definitely had his worst fantasy year, probably
oh,
throughout his
easily,
fantasy career.
no,
Thing with
easily.
Justin Fields,
I
Imma
mean,
say real quick because it's kind of been the hot topic for Steeler fans the last few days. Um, as I said before, Z, you were gonna hear every rumor in the book this offseason with their quarterback position. You
I
were gonna
mean,
hear every rumor in the book,
right.
and we almost already have. I think the last person we gotta hear from is Jimmy G. So, but yeah, how I feel with Justin Fields stuff real quick that I wanna talk about, I've talked about this before on my own channel. I think that there's some options out there the Steelers can do to upgrade their quarterback position. I don't see how they can feel confident or feel good, with Kenny Pickett leading the way at quarterback 1 and competing for that quarterback 1 job. I think when you look at the landscape, the AFC, it's not that kinda what we heard this past offseason that the AFC was gonna be this big juggernaut. I never think that it will ever be like that for any conference. There's just too many injuries in football. Um, Teams aren't as good. Teams are better than what you think, blah, blah, blah. Teams are different every year. I don't believe in that. Oh, AFC's loaded, right? But I think when you look at the landscape of the AFC playoffs this year, I think when you look at the landscape of teams, in today's NFL, you need a quarterback that's going to help you score points. Steelers don't have that. And I'm not sure that when you look at the quarterback options this year, it's not like that these are options that you can look at any of these guys as your long-term answer. but I think there's a few options that can get you better and that you can get more out of your offense with, especially in an AFC North type division, especially in an AFC that has a lot of star power. And I think that they really need to heavily consider it going a different direction. And I hope they do. I hope they're honest with themselves. I hope they're I hope they're serious with their quarterback position. I think it would be a very big mistake to run it back. And even next year's quarterback class isn't, at least as of right now, not very promising. So when you look at there's a few guys out there. In terms of Justin Fields, that's kind of been the talk of the week as of right now. I really think the Falcons and Steelers are probably the two realistic teams of him to possibly get traded to. I'm okay with it. If the Steelers want to make a move for him, I'd much rather have him there than what they currently have. Justin Fields has played a lot of bad football, but he's also had moments and has played through 3 years where he's also shown superstar talent, where he's shown promise. And if the Steelers think that they can get more out of him with more stability here and even maybe more talent here, by all means, you have to also consider they're going to have to consider his 5th year option. But if you're able to get a good deal on that, you got to take chances sometimes, and that's the way it goes. That's the way it goes. I think Justin Fields has um, electrifying moments. I think he's shown things that equal a superstar type player, and he's also shown things that are very bad. But I think at the end of the day, if you can kind of look over some of those things and look more at good that he's somebody, especially with Arthur Smith and your running attack, and having
God,
still, I think I what
that just
what'd
Arthur.
you say? Yeah, Arthur. I don't know, Z.
Yeah.
I'm not writing him off. I'm gonna give him a shot. I'm giving him a shot.
Yep.
But when you look at, I still think one of the better offensive just cores in terms of position players in the league. I think that is exciting, an exciting thing to think about. It's just really a matter of development. It's really a matter of really how much untapped potential you think is still there, and if you think it's worth some draft capital and to take a shot on. But I'm for it. I'm for it, and I just think at this point, I just don't know how anybody just wants to watch 6 touchdowns again next year. Z. I can't watch it. I can't.
I think it's
So
it's totally reasonable to be 100% for it, just in the fact of the
yeah,
obviously what he offers as a player. We know what he offers as a player.
yeah,
He's had it since his college days. He's very young in his career.
yeah. He's only 24.
Yeah, it's just a fact of, how you gonna put this together? How you gonna trust Arthur calling the offense when he couldn't do it with, if not equally, more talented, Atlanta offense with who they have over there. I
Mhm.
know obviously they had no quarterback. I understand that part, but um, I mean, if you're talking about Bijan and Kyle Pitts and Drake London and all those guys, I mean, it's why he got fired. So.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Obviously, it's gonna fall on Arthur, but if he's gonna have Fields, he's gonna have pretty much the same exact kind of core except for a quarterback, get Desmond Ritter. Uh, in
If you're
reference
gonna
to,
stick with Kenny, I mean, you might as well.
yeah, I mean, would you rather have Kenny or Desmond?
See, I'd rather just not watch a game.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think you bring up a fair point. I mean, I think it'd be exciting to see Fields in the Steelers jersey. I think it's something that's. I mean, we're all going to keep a close eye on because we have to wait for the Bears' decision first. I mean,
Right, right.
we have to obviously,
Next weekend is March 1st, so they're gonna have to get on it very quick.
yeah. I mean, I think Ed and I really hit everything on the money in reference to
Yeah,
our overview. I mean, we talked about multiple teams,
yeah,
our own teams. What I thought about the Ravens, I think we kind of nailed everything on the money, and I think we did. It was a good one.
yeah, yep. So, next time Z and I are back,
It'll be next
um,
week, and I are kind of like figuring out our schedules now, even though like Ed has a job where he works early. With me with my jobs, the last multiple months, I work pretty much every single day. But it seemed like this week we were able to kind of, we were close last week, but this week we were able to figure out a time. So,
yeah,
um, I'll talk to Ed tomorrow when I get my schedule, and we'll see.
yeah,
It seems like Wednesdays
yeah.
will probably
We'll
be
be
the day.
back. We'll be back next week. Z and I will be getting into NFL free agency, especially as March comes around, because um that first week and a half, second week of March is when things start happening. We'll be talking about the upcoming baseball season with spring training. The first spring training game is tomorrow, actually.
Yeah,
One thing I want to say, Z, have you noticed how bad these Fanatic jerseys are that they're wearing this year?
and they're bad. They're bad.
Did you it's awful. It's awful. Like they're really bad.
And how about thoughts about Anthony Rendon saying that baseball's not a priority to him?
Z, again, you talk about stealing money. You put him up there with Bakhtiari. Probably worse. Probably worse than
Yeah,
Bakhtiari.
and I mean, if we're talking about a baseball tier, I mean, I don't even know where to put him up. I mean, that's just, I mean, and that would be
He's
an
definitely tier one.
instant.
He's definitely up. He's definitely up there.
It'd be an instant release if I heard that.
Yeah, no, it really would. It's honestly really embarrassing. And this, I'm not judging Anthony Rendon as a person. Don't know him individually, but in terms of just sitting there, not offering anything to your team. This is your job, your career. Doesn't really seem like you care too much about it.
You don't care about the fans.
Yeah, the fans that are ultimately the reason why you get paid what you get paid for.
I
Not
mean,
much desire to get on the field, and
I
you're
mean,
getting $200 million. Like,
never forget you grab someone's throat after a game last season. I mean, might as well
yeah,
call him Draymond.
no, Z, you might as well. You might as well. Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
honestly really embarrassing. And Z and I we'll talk about baseball, talk about our division predictions and how we kind of feel about where the league's at. Maybe some teams that could be better. We'll probably talk about the Pirates, Cubs, Diamondbacks, things like that. But yeah, the Fanatic jerseys are awful, and it's not like the designs are the same, like in terms of what the teams have had, dude. Dude, the template, the font, it looks awful.
There's the material.
The material, the lettering, it just looks very cheap. Z, it looks very cheap.
That's what Batman wants.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Batman, that's the hockey guy.
Oh, it's a hockey
It's
guy.
Manfred.
Manfred. Yeah,
See, they're all the same. They're all a bunch of crooks anyway.
they're all the same, man.
They're
They
all
all
the
work for the Illuminati, and quite honestly, they don't care about the
same.
fans.
No, they don't. No, they don't. So Z and I will be
No.
talking about that, guys. You guys are going to want to catch that, but especially with NFL free agency once starts happening, that'll be exciting to talk about. So we'll leave
Yep.
it there. Z and I will be back next week, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for your support. Hit the sub, hit the thumbs up. It helps out the channel. Leave some comments on your thoughts on the video. We appreciate it. Helps us grow. We're trying to do it best we can and even start going live. So we'll see. We'll see you guys next week.